Okay, today I have a Ruger GP100, but not just any standard GP100, but the match champion. Ruger has taken their workhorse 357 Revolver and modified it a little bit specifically for the competition market. So it's designed for IDPA competition in particular. Let's take a look. All right, so you can see it's coming in a nice hard case. As nice as that is, surprisingly, there's no provision for putting a lock on it. There's sort of a place here, but they didn't actually put a hole in it, which is kind of weird. Without too much trouble, I guess you could put a padlock on that. All right, the first thing that strikes me is the beautiful wood grips. They're Hogue mono grips, one piece. There's no split in the middle. It's attached at the bottom. It's nicely stippled, just enough, not too much. I don't like super aggressive gripping on pistols. I tend to shoot many rounds, and something that's excessively aggressively gripped tends to abrade my skin and makes shooting unpleasant. And what's the point? I think there's a really nice contrast between the satin finished stainless steel and the wood grips. The things that you'll notice that are different between this and your standard GP100 are the sights. They've got a dovetailed front sight and rear sights. They're both adjustable for windage by drifting them in their slots. You could adjust elevation by changing the sight height if you needed to. They do offer a fully adjustable rear sight if you want that as an option. The downside is it's not as robust and sturdy. They've put on a heavy barrel, but then they've machined slab sides on that. Reduces the weight, makes holstering a little bit easier, and also gives you a very nice place to put their graphics. It's a half lug ejection rod cover, which is nice. I don't like the full underlug. That tends to be a little too muzzle heavy for me. I think this is a good compromise. Gives the good protection to the cylinder ejection rod, but without the extra weight. So there's really no major surprises here. What they've done with this pistol is they've put a 4.2-inch barrel on it. That's the maximum allowed by IDPA, and it's the minimum allowed for importation into Canada. So they've struck a nice balance there. It's supposed to come with a tightened up action and lock work. They are saying 7 pounds on the double action and under 4 pounds on the single action. And I'll tell you, out of the box, this is the nicest Ruger trigger pull I've ever felt, other than the LCR, which is a butt ugly gun but has a really nice trigger pull. But for the standard type revolvers that Ruger's put out, this is very nice, and reminds me of a Smith & Wesson. The single action is no take up and very crisp, nice let off. Another nice feature that they've done is they've actually radiused the cylinder so that the diameter at the back is bigger than at the front. So it tapers slightly, and what that will do is aid in reholstering the pistol. So when you're done with the stage, getting the gun back in your holster will be easy. That flat front on the cylinder can be a challenge when you're trying to cram the gun back in your holster after you've run a drill. All right, so close-up look of the Ruger GP100 Match Champion. So you can see the very nicely stippled Hogue mono grip. I've always enjoyed the mono grip, but I've always only had the experience of the rubber ones. This is a hardwood, which is really nice. I'm not sure if it's Cocobolo or who, but It just feels really good in the hand. It is scalloped, so you can get a speed loader in there. It's a heavy barrel, but they've scalloped the sides to reduce the weight and to make it look nice. Of course, you've got the really nice laser engraving, Ruger GP100 on one side with the caliber designation, and on the other side it says Match Champion. This gun was designed for competition shooting, IDPA in particular. They have really done a nice job on the crown of the muzzle. It's recessed and nicely dipped in, so that's very well protected. So the chances of digging up the rifling at the muzzle are very small. They put really nice sights on this. This is a fixed sight. It is drift adjustable for windage, but not for elevation. They just came out with a new version that does have a fully adjustable rear sight. Problem with that is it's more delicate. So this is a good choice if you want a more rugged sight, similar to a Novak. I don't know if Novak's actually making this, but it's that style. The front sight is a fiber optic, which is what you're seeing in everything. It is very visible in the sunlight, and so it picks up very nicely. The rear sight is just blank, which I like. It's kind of scalloped, and it gives you a very fast sight picture if you're doing quick work, but it also allows for the precise sight picture of a typical Partridge sighting system. So you have the best of both worlds there. The cylinder release is typical. It's of Ruger is pushing in, and that releases that. There is no knurling on the ejector rod. It's just totally smooth. Of course, Ruger is noted for their robustness, and it has the lockup of not just the rear at the back of the cylinder rod here, but there's the one at the crane where the crane meets the or the yoke. I don't know which Ruger calls there. If this is a yoke or a crane, doesn't really matter. But there's a lockup for the frame there. There is not one in the front like you would see on a Smith & Wesson. So, all in all, it's a nicely made revolver. Ruger has always been noted for robustness, not necessarily for smoothness. And they have worked on the trigger some. It's supposed to be a 7-pound double action and 4-pound or sub 4-pound in single action. When I do some shooting, I'll let you know what I think about that. Another thing I'm noticing on this is the cylinder is actually curved inwards, so the diameter at the front of the cylinder is not the same as the back, and that will help you when you're holstering a pistol. Very often the flat face of the cylinder can impede getting the gun back in the holster. So they've done a nice job of bringing that in, and that will facilitate reholstering. Overall impressions, I like it. It's a 38-ounce pistol, so it's on the heavy side. That's about what a government model 1911 will weigh. I'm anxious to shoot it, so let's stop gabbing and get out into the range. All right, so I've given you a little bit of a close-up look at the Ruger GP100 Match Champion. It's time to put some rounds downrange. So I've got some full house 357 loads. These are 125 grain jacketed hollow points, or semi-jacketed hollow points. No issues on loading. The cartridges go in very nicely. Cylinder locks up very nicely. Yeah, let's see how it does at some steel. I'm shooting at the 15-yard line. Ejection was good. Cylinder's a little warm. All right, that last one, 5-inch plate, 15 yards, shooting double action. Now, this surprises me. I compared this ejection rod or ejector rod to a Smith & Wesson Model 66 with a 4-inch barrel. And the Smith & Wesson ejector rod is about 1/8 of an inch longer. And it kicks out the cases no problem. But here you have 3 rounds that didn't come out. Now, some of that's my fault. If I was a little bit more aggressive kicking them out, they probably would have come out. But for a competition gun where I need to get these out, get the next 6 in quickly, that's an issue to me. I mean, it's just not going. The trigger pull is nice. It's very smooth for a Ruger double action. I'm shooting full house loads and it is not bad. It's, you know, I won't say it's mild because that's not true, but the recoil's not bad. Between the 38 ounces of the weight of this gun and the this really nice mono grip from Hogue, it handles the recoil very, very nicely. All right, let's try unloading it a little more aggressively. I'll use the technique I learned from Asad Ayub, where the gun is kept in the right hand and the left hand kicks the gun out, and that was fine. I think the key is really going to be getting this gun absolutely vertical when you hit that. I was probably a little sloppy using the old FBI method of reloading, and that's why I had those cases hang up. Let's do one more, and this cylinder is getting a little warm shooting these full house loads. Let's try the single action on the 5-inch plate. Okay, once again, I got 2 rounds hung up. Not what I'd expect in a $900 pistol that's set up for competition. And yeah, that's getting warm. That's what cylinder number 4, and that's going to be my last one because I burned my thumb a little bit on that. All right, one more double action run. The fiber optic sight is really nice. Picks up very quickly, but you still have enough of the classical profile to get a good sight picture for more precision. So, all in all, I think Ruger's done a pretty nice job here with coming up with a solid performer for IDPA. This would make a good carry gun if you like 357. You know, it's a little on the heavy side, so you're going to have a good holster to, you know, and belt. You know, the two are a system to handle that kind of weight on your belt. But if you're the old-fashioned revolver kind of guy, this is certainly solid. So all in all, you know, I'm going to give it an A minus. The ejection is a little bit of an issue for me. Other than that, it performed very nicely. The sights are well regulated for hits at 15 yards. Any of the misses were my fault, not the guns. So yeah, I like it. I think we could work on the ejection. polishing the cylinders, chambers might help a little bit. And if I just worked on my technique, I haven't shot revolvers in years really, so I'm not up on my reloading technique, and I'm sure good technique would overcome that little bit of a problem with the faulty ejection. So I'm Peter Burlingame of the Self-Defense Initiative. This is another Wonderful Weapons Wednesday. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Tell your friends about us, and be safe out there.